today chatting to Desiree Rover, who is a medical research journalist and has written a book on the topic and has another one in the works. Her subjects discuss population reduction and how this will affect you in the immediate future. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you very much, Desiree, for taking the time out to speak to us today. I know you're very busy, especially since this morning we've just had a lovely article come out in the press about you. And if you can see that. It's an amazing stroke of luck that we've been able to get to you today. So thanks for taking the time out. And obviously just want to start off with a few questions. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, so we have an understanding of what you do and how you got involved with this.
Yes. I did many things during my lifetime, and I think I'm a very good observer, because I remember things when I was 3 years old. I lived in Indonesia at the time, and I can tell you details about that no end. So when my second son fell ill in 1981, I went with him to the hospital, and all sorts of things started happening. And to cut a long story short, at the moment his diagnosis of cancer was final, I stayed with him for months on end in the hospital, in this little glass cubicle with him, and I got a real good look at how Western medical science is approaching a situation like that. And every once in a while, 10 times a day or so, I would be very surprised, because in my logical mind things would happen that I thought, how is this possible? What a crazy, no, not crazy, but what a strange way of thinking these guys have to solve this problem, maybe. And that made me wonder about all the rest of it. And at a certain moment in time, I started voicing what I was seeing, because sometimes situations were there that were really hurtful for my son and for me. So I thought, well, maybe I'm the one here meant to speak up, and I did. And I did that in a way that I never came to the oncologist or the other people with my emotions, but after I had thought through the whole thing that was at hand, so that in a really rational way I could present the case. This is what happened, this is what it has done to us, and this, I think, is the solution. And that solution was always accepted and implemented, as I found out 8 years after he died, when I came back to the hospital and people started telling their stories to Jerry Jampolsky, a psychiatrist who works with children with cancer. And every once in a while the people of the hospital had to turn to me that, yeah, that is something you changed here, and this is something. And the most important thing is that these days the little folding beds for the mothers and fathers are at the ready. In my time I slept on the floor because they didn't want me to be there at first. And so that is how I, by way of how my life developed, discovered that Western medical science is something else than it generally represents that it is. And the next thing was that in 1996 I went to Australia for 2 months. I just needed a break, and I brought my two youngest children with me. And we went to Australia, and there I was working on an article about vaccination. Somebody had asked me to dig into that. And I had the material with me from the anti-vaccination lobby, the Nederlandse Vereniging Kritisch Prikken in Holland. But it was material I really couldn't work with, because I felt, I had this gut feeling, there's something there that's not okay, and it didn't come out of that material. I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I was in Katoomba 5 minutes before my hostess was going to pick me up somewhere, and I went into a little bookstore, and right at the back of this dark little store there was this bright red book Vaccination, a medical assault on the immune system by Vera Scheibner. And she turned out to live 3 villages down the road from where I was standing. So I thought, yeah, I can take a hint. So I called her, and we met at the Radio Blue Mountains radio station, because my landlady had a program there, and that was called Kaleidoscope, so anything could be done in that program. And when we were in the studio, Vera was at one microphone and I was at the other, and Estelle, my landlady, she was behind the controls. And she gave me the floor, so I said, well, Vera, I haven't had really time to read your book yet, but from what I see, there is a connection between polio vaccines and AIDS. And Estelle, behind the controls, went, oh, because it was a live program. And Vera, she went like this, put up her thumb and said, oh, okay, thank you. And she explained what she had found in the medical literature. And Vera, why Vera had dug into the medical literature was because she had a cot watch, which was a breathing monitor for babies. And she was doing research to the breathing patterns of babies with this cot watch, which was a true breathing monitor. And so this monitor was put out at babies that the pediatricians in Sydney gave her. And with these babies, everything went well until a certain moment in time when these cot watch monitors would go giving alarms